welcome to another episode of Random Respawn. For those of you keeping track at home, this is the 6th episode. We've been doing this for 6 weeks
we're
straight.
so awesome. Okay, maybe not.
I'm Joshua Chagani.
And I am Marshall Behringer.
How do you do?
Hello.
As you guys that have been listening know, we talk about video game news, video game things, and video game stuff. Today, we're going to talk about all of the industry's layoffs, maybe QuickTime events, and the Illumaroom.
Illumaroom, yes. Illumaroom. So what do we want to start off with? Besides our, hey, Josh, guess what?
What is that, Mush?
What games have you been playing?
Well, shucks, I didn't see that one coming. I have started playing Mega Man 9. I will get that online as soon as I can, but this is actually the first time I've ever played a Mega Man game.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I've never played Mega Man. My friend played Mega Man X4, and I watched him play that, but he played as Zero, so I never really saw him play as Mega Man. And really, the only Mega Man games that I've rented are Mega Man X7 and Mega Man Legends. So I had real high expectations for Mega Man in general.
Oh, wow. You poor soul.
I was like, I can't wait for this. Maybe it's going to be as good as Mega Man Legends.
Oh, no.
I think I did pretty well. I don't know who... I know in traditional Mega Man, there's one boss that's kind of easier than the others that you kind of go after first. You get the special weapon upgrade, and then you go after the others. I'm not using a strategy guide or anything like that. I'm just doing it. And I fought Galaxy Man, and I won. And I did pretty well. I was actually surprised at how well I did for first time ever playing Mega Man. But there were definitely some frustrations. Right. And it's frustrating, but it's not... At this point, the game definitely seems like it's not terribly long. And when I figure out the enemies and what they're weakness to from a buster, that's another element of gameplay that I'm looking to get into. But it's not as satisfying as I would say Super Meat Boy is. Whereas Super Meat Boy is insanely frustrating, but it's also I felt like I was rewarded more in Super Meat Boy than I have been in Mega Man. But I have still enjoyed it. It's still a pretty fun game.
Yeah, I mean, the Mega Man games have always been all right for me. I mean, I started, like, I want to say maybe Mega Man 2. It definitely wasn't the first one that I ever played, but yeah, those games have always been ball-bustingly difficult for me. Just because I never, as a kid, really understood the idea of, oh, hey, some of these guys are weak to other weapons. I didn't really figure that out until well later into my early teens, I want to say.
Yeah, that was just a system, or that was just a game I'd never picked up. It was a franchise that I always kind of wanted to play but never got into. But before we go into what you've been playing, I've got a joke.
Oh, no.
I figured, why wait until the end of the episode to offend people when I can do it now?
But, Josh, if you do it now, then everyone's going to shut off the podcast and not listen to the next part of it.
No, I think they're going to want to hear the punchline. How many Alzheimer patients does it take to change a light bulb? To get to the other side.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I figured if you really have Alzheimer's, you'll forget that this joke ever happened. So I feel like in the end, we didn't offend anyone.
Jokes, ladies and gentlemen.
And with that, it's your turn to talk about your games and then come up with a joke.
No, you don't get that from me after that shit joke.
That was a great joke.
Okay, fine. It was an okay joke. I'll give you that.
It was okay.
What the fuck have I been playing? I've been busy lately with work and crap and stuff. Been playing War Thunder, which is a PC game. I don't know if it's for Mac as well, but right now I think it's only for PC. It is a free-to-play game, which is solely based on aircraft for the time being. Later down the line, they're going to introduce tanks and then naval ships and stuff like that, and they'll all interact with each other. But right now, it's just warplanes, essentially. And it's like, I want to say maybe from like between the World War I and then Cold War type of era, type of fighter planes and whatnot. It's been fun, but I'm getting real frustrated with the controls. I'm still trying to figure out like the best optimal like control setup for me because I don't have like a joystick. Like I've got my my 360 gamepad that I plug into my USB, and like good luck trying to use a mouse and keyboard with it because that's rough. They do have some sort of weird mouse aiming assist where it's you kind of literally control your plane based on just turning the mouse, and like you turn the camera and then the plane will try and rotate yourself to wherever you're pointing the camera. But from what I've been able to gather, that takes too long and you usually get shot to hell before you have a chance. Essentially, the game almost kind of plays like World of Tanks. If people have never played that game, go check that out. It's interesting, where you've got essentially you'll start off with like a tier 1 set of planes, like real crappy ones, like way back in the day, like World War I era type of stuff, or even before that. And you've got different countries, like
Da Vinci planes or like the Wright brother planes.
Maybe even later than that, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Maybe towards
like
maybe like the end of World War I era type of planes, more leaning towards. I'm not entirely sure because I'm still very new to the game. I don't know how far the tech goes, but you start off with like the tier 1 planes with really crappy ones. But if you're decent at it, you'll still get a couple kills, and then the more you get experience you get and more cash you get, then the more planes that become available. And they're like 3 different types. You've got your fighters, you've got your assaults, which do like ground attacks on like tanks and stuff like that, and then you have your bombers. Those 3 classes like have their strengths and weaknesses. Like bombers are super super compared to other planes, but they take a lot more damage and are a pain in the ass to kill because of all their guns. So many guns. And it's been all right. I don't know if I'm going to keep playing it because I know I'm kind of hitting a brick wall with it, just like most free-to-play games where it's like you got to really grind into it unless, you buy a subscription or you buy extra cash to get stuff. But for now, I've been enjoying it. And then besides that, maybe FTL on the side. I've been really getting back into that game and how much it hates me.
That's a good game. Faster Than Light. That's
yes, it's a very good game.
That'll probably be one that I record myself getting frustrated at.
Yeah, I should probably do that at some point too. We could do it together. Okay, maybe not. That'd be a little bit weird.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get right into it.
Let's get in the news. What do we want to start off with today?
Let's start with the layoffs.
The layoffs. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, for those who do not know, this past week has been kind of rough for Electronic Arts. There have been rumors going around. I don't know specific what the numbers are, but
some say as much as 10%, right?
Yeah, essentially, which would be roughly 1,000 people getting the axe, but that might be a bit extreme. At least maybe a couple hundred.
Right.
But this is the EA's official statement on the matter of what's been going on. In recent weeks, EA has aligned all elements of its organizational structure behind priorities in new technologies and mobile. This has led to some difficult decisions to reduce the workforce in some locations. We are extremely grateful for the contributions made by each of our employees. Those that are leaving EA will be missed by their colleagues and friends. These are hard but essential changes as we focus on delivering great games and showing players around the world why to spend their free time to us. That doesn't make sense at the end of it. Grammatical errors. But A, you guys don't make good games. What is this nonsense? But B,
first off,
I mean,
false.
This has kind of been planned for a while, I guess, by Riccatello before he stepped down, where they're kind of more focusing on mobile and stuff like that, which, I mean, I guess that's okay for them, but I don't see that going very well in the long term. I mean, people are going to play their 99-cent games, but it's not like there's a huge market for them, I guess, if you say that. Because I know their social scene is really going down the shitter just because I guess you could say that the social bubble for games has popped a long time ago since a Zynga kind of going down to hell and high water. But besides EA, Square Enix has also been hit with a bunch of layoffs as they're also going through a restructuring process. From their quotes, they say, "We are reviewing our business in Europe to ensure we have the right structure, content, and skills for the changing entertainment landscape." Whatever the hell that means. It's just right now, it seems like all their projections for all of their games have not been hitting their marks, and now they're struggling for it. Like, they're just not making the money that they thought they were going to be getting, and so they have to kind of cut ties with a bunch of places.
Right, but I think that they've just had really unreal expectations. I mean,
yeah.
They keep whoring out the same IPs over and over again. I mean, just look at, like, not Call of Duty, that's Activision, but Battlefield and is Assassin's Creed EA?
No, that's Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, yeah. But, I mean, even just in general, all these IPs are just releasing these games year after year, just driving them into the ground. Really, unless it's really Mario, I think that's the only IP that has lasted this long. Actually, all of Nintendo's IPs have just been really, really successful.
Speaking of Nintendo and Mario, one thing that is of key note here is that they have been saying it's going to be the year of the Luigi. Which, oh God, the metaphors for that means, we're having trouble, so here, have someone else other than Mario to look at. But the one...
Well, they came out with a Luigi's Mansion for the 3DS.
Yeah, they've been trying real hard to really focus on Luigi now, which I don't know if that's going to pay off. I mean, they even have had DLC for, what was it, New Super Mario Brothers U?
Yeah, but it was all free DLC, so...
I mean, that's good, I guess. But it just seems like they don't really know what they're doing at the moment as well. I mean, right now, they're not going to have a big press conference at E3. That's just going to be Sony and Microsoft. What they're planning instead is they're going to have like a closed doors thing, but for like investors and stuff like that. And not even that. They're not even going to let press into that. The only time that the press are going to be able to really see what's going on is once, that's done, they'll be like, all right, now you can go to our booths to check out what we're doing. But I just feel like you have this huge thing that E3 is big for, getting people to take a look at what's going on with your company. And to not really like capitalize on that, it's I don't know. Especially right now, since the Wii U is really just not selling the numbers that they thought they were going to have. I mean, do you have any idea what the numbers are right now for the Wii U? Because I keep hearing like something along the lines of like 400,000 units shipped.
Wow. No, I think that's way too low.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like maybe not the total, but how it's been so far. Like maybe during the fall when that came out, it was only 400,000.
Well, the Wii U was sold out everywhere when it first came out.
Oh yeah, when the Wii sold out, it was crazy. But I think
the Wii U. Sorry, the Wii U. The Wii U was sold out.
But then that was only for like the really kind of beginning part of it, and now
yeah.
But now it's kind of really lost steam already, and we're now like halfway into this year, and it's not making nearly the numbers that it did when it sold at all, and it's slowing down, and it just seems like a lot of that has to do with possibly like lack of games, or just they don't really know what they're doing with that system at the moment, I think in terms of longevity and playing for the long haul, Nintendo has always been better than any other company. And I don't think that they don't know. It's not like they don't know what they're doing, because they've already released their console. They're not going to be the big talked and hyped about company. And the thing is, why would they rent out a room and go through all this trouble to announce a new console when they already have that console? So basically, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, because Nintendo's not releasing a new console, their new console's out, it's going to be a debate between Xbox and PS4, who's going to have the better console. Yeah.
And Nintendo was never going to be part of that argument, so why waste all of that money and resources trying to rent out a room and put on this huge show when it didn't matter what they did, they wouldn't be part of the tech buzz of that day. So I think it's smart. I mean, as a gamer, I kind of wish that it was more, that they were doing a little bit more. But even this day and age, we're already going to know what's going to happen because of the internet. We always know a couple days beforehand, and then when they come out and talk about it on stage, then we're like, all right, all these rumors are confirmed. And so, it's not the magazine age where we only got that information through gaming magazines. Now we actually kind of know a little bit beforehand, and I don't think Nintendo's doing anything wrong or dumb. I just think it's just a decision they made.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this also stems from the fact that they're pushing a lot of their Nintendo Direct feeds stuff on the internet that they've been doing recently. Like,
that's a good point.
Like
yeah.
a lot of that seems to be like, all right, we're just gonna pop up on the internet from time to time. Maybe even give an official statement of when we're going to actually say something during the direct feed of like when that's going to happen, and then tell us what's going on. I mean, that's how they did the Year of the Luigi when they announced that. They didn't do it at E3. They're kind of, it seems like every like couple weeks or even a few months, like they'll just come pop back on the internet and be like, hey, this is what's going on.
Yes.
Which I don't know if that's going to work in the long haul. I mean, there's the chance that it might backfire and people might not like get the information out of it because, you know, you at least tell people that you're actually going to say something instead of just randomly hopping on the internet and be like, hey, where's everybody?
That's a good point. I do agree. I like that they're doing this, but you've got a really good point. Give us some heads up before you just announce something. Because
tell me that you're going to announce something.
Right,
like, and when that's going to be.
I will say that I don't necessarily think that having a year dedicated to Luigi is going to be that bad. I mean, as a launch title for the GameCube, it wasn't even a Mario game. It was Luigi's Mansion. And although the GameCube didn't have the same numbers as the PS2 did, the GameCube was an amazing system. I mean, with some really
totally
games. So I mean, if that's the case, then do Luigi all you want.
For me, with Luigi, though, it's almost like a metaphor of like they're running out of options. Like they don't know what to do because they only have these certain number of like IPs and whatnot. And, you know, it seems like they've run the well dry on Mario. So it's like, all right, let's switch to Luigi now as a last case scenario. But who knows what this is going to do in the long haul for them. It just seems like overall, like this year, it's just no one's making enough money, or at least not the numbers that they were hoping, which, hey, for all we know, we might get a video game crash in the next year or two. Who knows?
I will say that I would rather them switch over to Luigi and then have him kind of be the face of the console for a little while they think of something for Mario, as opposed to doing what Sega did for Sonic and just releasing crap after crap and, you know, have Shadow the Hedgehog. And,
let's not talk about that.
And Sonic Unleashed or whatever, that one where he turns into like a night beast or whatever.
A werehog.
A werehog, that's what it was, yeah. So I would rather them make these games. And the thing is, Luigi's Mansion was phenomenal, and Luigi for the 3DS has been, from what I've read, was pretty darn solid too. So I'm not too worried about. I will say I agree. The Wii U doesn't have really any good games right now.
They need a
Scribblenauts
better launch.
Unlimited is for every console. The new Super Mario Brothers Wii U, I would like to play it. I don't think it's going to be a bad game, but there've already four other versions. Yeah. Nintendo Land, though, that's really fun.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's almost kind of like a pseudo tech demo, kind of like Wii Sports was. I mean, and the thing is,
100% a tech demo.
You can
100%.
only go so far with that. It's like, all right, that gets fun after a while, but then, you know, now what? What do I do now?
The absolute biggest downfall is that game was made for multiplayer, but you can't play online. It's got online components, but the only way you can do games with people is if they're in the same room with you.
That's dumb.
Yes, especially since the way that some of those games were made. I mean, there are a couple games, I think there are 4 games that you cannot play without having another person. And when Lauren was here, we played all of them, and they were wicked fun. But you can't play unless someone else is in the room with you.
Yeah. I do appreciate the fact that they are still thinking about people who, you know, actually come over to a friend's place and actually play games with them. Like, God forbid in this day and age of online that game companies actually still think about stuff like that.
That's a good point. Good point.
But then on the flip side, what about everyone else then? In this day and age of everyone being online, what about everyone else who's actually online? You know, can't you do that?
E3 is coming. We'll see. We'll definitely have an episode about the new features for Xbox. Actually, speaking of new features for Xbox, let's talk about the Illumaroom.
Illumaroom. I'm never going to get tired of saying that. So the other...
Is that the code name for it, or is that the actual name?
I think it's just the name. I've not heard anything else for that.
I think you're right.
So essentially what this is, if you go into YouTube, you can find this. This was literally posted like the other day by Microsoft research team. And it's essentially like a projector that is kind of like in its tech demo stage right now. They kind of have like a Kinect fucking attached to it too. It's weird. It looks janky as all hell, but it still works. It scans the room where the TV is, so it's literally looking at the TV. And then it will actually legitimately project kind of like whatever you want on it. There are different settings. Like if you wanted to project only like the fire and the special effects, like that's happening in the game, not only will, all that stuff happen on your TV, but then if you like turn the corner and then there's fire, and then what am I trying to say? Words. If you're looking at fire, but then you turn away from it, that fire will still project on your wall, which, that's kind of cool. And if you do like gunshots, like you can have a setting where the area around your TV will actually ripple from like the reverb of the gunshot, stuff like that. Or if you want, you can like project it so you can see the rest of the like level of what's around you besides what's on the TV. And it's cool, I guess, but at the same time, this kind of falls into the Kinect problem of you need to have a large space to do this. You need to have certain calibrations for it, and it seems kind of gimmicky. But the good news is apparently it's not really linked to the next Xbox, so this is kind of just like hey, we're kind of just screwing around just to see what we can do.
Yeah, there's still some people that think that it may be somehow incorporated, but I don't know. I
hope
think
not.
It would jack up the price of the console. I mean, it is an augmented reality home entertainment system that can be shared with other people, whereas virtual reality, you have to wear the helmet or it's just by yourself, whereas an augmented reality living room that's being projected can be seen by everyone, which is kind of neat. But the fact that they released it at CES, or they showed the first image of it at CES, it seems, like I said, it seems really cool. And it seems like they've really paved the way for it to be a potential add-on for the next Xbox. But nothing has confirmed it. And also, it, like you said, it does seem a little gimmicky.
Yeah, that's just it. I don't want it to be a gimmick. I don't want it to be just another freaking add-on like the Kinect. Even though apparently, still rumors, we still don't know until May, which, slowly coming towards us, that there will be a built-in Kinect into the next Xbox. So that's going to jack up the price. I just want to play games. I don't care about the gimmicks. And I'm worried that these newer consoles are kind of focusing more on the gimmicks a little bit too much than they should be.
I really think that the Kinect is going to be built into the 360. I really, really think that.
If that's the case, then they're going to have to jack up the price at least $100 more in order to compensate for it.
Probably, but I think they're going to do that one plan that they already have now, where you pay $100 for the console, but you have to subscribe to Xbox Live Gold for like 2 years or something like that. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have seen that. I'm still now kind of getting over the fact that you have to pay in order to be online. That seems a little bit silly.
You've always had to pay for Xbox Gold.
I know, but now I'm kind of tired of it for some strange reason. I've gotten over it ever since I finally got my PlayStation 3, and I can actually be online and play normally without having to worry about subscriptions.
Yeah, and I really like the way PlayStation has done it. I mean, they've really closed that gap between the Xbox Live online play and the PSN online play. And I'm a PSN Plus member, and I got Mega Man 9 for free. I also got Mega Man 10 for free. Dark Souls.
So jealous. You get games for free, for crying out loud. What the hell?
And you, like I said, you don't need to pay to play online, just like you don't need to pay to play online with the PC. So I completely agree. I think that Xbox Live Gold is automatically set to renew, and I've tried to cancel it a couple of times.
But you should be able to cancel that. That shouldn't be a problem.
No, you can't cancel it, but they make it really hard. You can't do it online. You have to call a representative and do all this stuff. But last time I called, I will say, I've called Microsoft a couple of times for Xbox questions and things like that, and their customer support has always been awesome. They've
pretty much nailed that down from what I've been able to tell. Like any problem that I've had so far, I really haven't had issues with them. A couple years back, my apartment got broken into and I lost my Xbox, and I was afraid since my account information was still on that, I'm like, oh shit, I need to get rid of that. So I called them, explained the situation. I was like, can you delete that stuff from that Xbox? They're like, yeah, sure, that's easy. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about the customer support and other facets of Microsoft, but in terms of the Xbox support, they've always been really good.
Yes.
So I will give that to them. All right. If we don't have anything else to talk about, let's go ahead and talk about QuickTime events and whether or not they're useful.
I got to think about that. You go first.
Well, it's going to come down to I guess it depends, but I will say that I was reading an article, and it was more of a discussion, and they were talking about QuickTime events and how everyone hates them. And I will say that I don't hate QuickTime events, and in fact, a lot of times I enjoy them. I mean, there are so many instances where they're bad. Like in Resident Evil 6, they were really bad. But
Wait, hold on. What were they in Resident Evil 6?
It was just so... It was...
There's such pain and agony in your voice every time you talk about that game. I'm still surprised that you completed that game for all the achievements.
I 100%ed it. I did 100% it. I needed to get something out of that game, and fun wasn't it. But I don't, it was just like, it was very obvious. Like, the game would kind of slow down, and then something would be coming at you, and you'd have to do it. And a lot of the arguments they were talking about, how if it's during a cutscene, they would put down the controller, and then all of a sudden it would happen, and they would get really mad. It was like, I didn't expect this QuickTime event to come up. I was trying to enjoy the cutscene. And
you know what? Bullshit. Because you want to know why? They started that shit in Resident Evil 4, and y'all fuckers love that.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. A lot of people on this thing were also saying that they didn't like Resident Evil 4's QuickTime events, but I loved it. I loved the fact that you couldn't put down the controller, because at any second something crazy could happen. And so what?
And the thing is, that worked. Okay, that worked for that game just because that was kind of like the tone of it. Like, shit was gonna happen at any fucking moment, and make it really super tense just because it was a little bit more actiony than horror-y. Are those even words? But it worked then because that would make even the cutscenes not safe for you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But in Resident Evil 5, they had QuickTime events, but you could clearly see when it was doing an in-game render versus a pre-rendered cutscene. So, clearly when the graphics were really good, you were like, I can just put down the controller because I know it's not going to happen. And then they would do something else where you were like, this is an in-game render, I better keep the controller. And you could just tell, and it just wasn't that good. And then a lot of people complained about if you don't do it right away and you die instantly, that there are some games that it bothers me, but I honestly, like, for Resident Evil 4, especially the knife fight, that was great. And if you messed up, you're gonna get your head chopped off, and that was just part of it. I mean, I
didn't appreciate that knife fight for Resident Evil 4. If you fucked up, it made you start the whole goddamn thing over again.
I know,
but that whole scene was super fucking tense because of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that was the thing. It's like you were on edge the whole time, and that was just
on edge. Yeah, for a knife fight.
Got it.
Jokes.
And then
that's how you do a joke, you asshole.
I forgot what the other joke was.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
We're done. Podcast's over. Good night, everybody.
This is it. But no, one of the arguments that everyone says is, I hate how when you do a QuickTime event, you're not actually doing the action. Your character's just doing the action. Well, screw you. I mean, that means you hate every single type of cutscene, no matter how gorgeous it looks. And basically, you would eliminate so many games. Like, the coolest thing that Dante does in Devil May Cry are all during cutscenes. You know what I mean? In Bayonetta, actually, she does a lot of the really cool things in game. That's a really cool game.
Which is okay. By the way, before we continue, for the love of God, try not to use cutscenes with little QuickTime events. At least try, if you can, to have the player actually do that in game as a context-sensitive action. That's not a QuickTime event. There's a huge fucking difference between the two.
I completely agree. Like in Resident Evil 4, if you were running from a boulder, you were mashing A and B because
yes,
you could run, but you needed to run a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like QuickTime events in God of War. I mean, the cool thing about those is a lot of times if you were, aside from bosses, from the other dudes, you could just hack and slash them. You didn't necessarily need to do a QuickTime event when they were stunned. But I don't think that QuickTime events are that terrible. I mean, I think that they get way more hate than they need to, and I think nowadays it seems like you're like, this game has QuickTime events. That tends to be a downside. But I mean, Heavy Rain was basically all QuickTime events, and I love that game.
Well,
Azura's
the thing
Wrath
is,
was also like a big QuickTime event.
well, the thing is with Heavy Rain though is it's kind of like Indigo Prophecy or Fahrenheit, whatever the hell they call it, the other name for it. I mean that's the whole game. It's more like an adventure type of point and click. Kind of like, Walking Dead, and, everyone fucking loves that game. I fucking love that game. You fucking love that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but for that type of game, like, yeah, that it makes way more sense to do that. Just because there's not a whole lot of, actual gameplay to it. It's more like an interactive story, if anything else. I can understand, though, why people are kind of really tired of QuickTime events, just because it's more like a crutch than anything else. Because instead of having to figure out how to make this an actual gameplay mechanic, it's, we'll just make it a fucking cutscene that you press a button every now and then to do something.
They kind of did that with Metal Gear Rising, but I feel like it made you feel like you're doing the actions because of those QuickTime events.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with that, though. Just, well, now I'm really thinking about that again, because, I'm going back to the last God of War that I played, the last one that came out, prequel. They were very enjoyable just because of how fucking insane everything was at the moment. Like, there was just so much shit happening on that, massive, like, Titan-esque creatures that you're beating the crap out of. But I feel like they did it better in God of War 3 when you fought, what was his name that had the temple on his back?
Oh,
Kronos? No, it's not Kronos.
It may have been Kronos.
Well, regardless, that guy. Technically, that was a lot of that fight was QuickTime events, but at the same time, it wasn't one long-ass cutscene. There were plenty of parts where you had to climb up him, dodge him, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And, it felt good. It felt really fucking good. And, like, hell, there were even parts of it that you ended up on top of the fucking temple in certain sections that were directly from God of War 1, which I thought was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And you're just going through all this crap, and occasionally, like, you'll have to do QuickTime type stuff where you have to press a button during like a large motion of stuff, but it all kind of like blended in together a lot better than, say, hey, you sit back, you watch a cutscene, and then occasionally you'll have to push a button to do something or you die.
Yeah, that was he was in the Tartarus pit, right? Was that?
Yes,
I think it was Kronos.
It might have been.
I think so.
Whoever that huge fucking dude was that took place on most of God of War 1.
Yeah, well, that was a great thing about God of War 1 was the whole game was inside that temple on his back. I mean, that was the whole first game.
Who'd have thunk that you'd have to go back 2 games later to kill his ass?
Yeah, that's kind of neat. I will say, though, that QuickTime events suck on PC, but that's because it's like mash J on the keyboard. Like, J, I've never used J in this game. But that's a little bit different. I mean...
No, okay, a bad example of really shitty QuickTime events is Clive Barker's Jericho.
Clive Barker's Jericho by Clive Barker.
For those who don't know, that's a Yahtzee joke. If you go watch his videos on The Escapist, they're pretty funny still.
Yes, yeah,
I haven't watched them in a while though. But Clive Barker's Jericho by Clive Barker. Those button prompts, and they were literally like actual fucking like cutscenes that you would have to press buttons every so often, or you would straight up die and have to redo the whole fucking thing again. And what they did was really fucking small prompts that were like gray, kind of like the keyboard, and then like small font. So it's like, quickly press this. Oh, you're dead. I'm so sorry.
Kind of like in Resident Evil 5 when you're hanging in the plane and Chris just looks like a big monkey, and he just looks like a huge monkey. And was it Sheva? And then she falls out of the plane and it just goes, boop. And that noise that I made was literally the length of time that you had to hit that button. And I remember like Sheva just flying out, and you Caleb and I were just like, did you see a prompt? I didn't see a prompt. And I was like, none of us saw a prompt.
That whole, okay, my buddy and I, Caleb, we beat that shit in one night. We stayed up all night until like 7:30, 8:30 in the morning, and we fucking beat that because that volcano scene kept glitching out on us, pain in the ass. But literally, that whole button prompt, I was playing as Chris, my buddy Caleb was playing as Sheva. And we literally we're like, oh, what the fuck's going on? And I'm holding on to dear life, and then Sheva lets go, and I get a little button prompt that was like, A button, for like a split second. I'm like, and I didn't even like fucking see it the first time. Like, and I thought, wait, where'd my button prompt go? And then Caleb's laughing his ass off because he's like, on my screen it said, like, and he says it exactly this way, Chris.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's just
in a split second, you just see Chris just show up on screen. Just that little split second of I was supposed to fucking do something and I completely botched it.
That was a bad game. That was such a bad game.
No, come on, it was fun. It was at least better than 6.
It was better than 6.
Because it still behaved almost very similar to 4. Even though it leaned a lot more towards the action, especially at the end. But then again, I mean, 4 even leaned towards heavy action.
Oh yeah, once we got to that military island or whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. When the dude comes out with the minigun, then it's not really a horror game anymore.
No. That was a good game.
That was a good game. Fun. Quick time events. Everywhere. But still good game. All right, so the verdict. Quick time events. They're okay in very, very few places.
Yeah, but I don't think that they're reason for a game to be terrible.
Yes. If you're saying the game is terrible because quick time events.
There's more wrong with the game.
The only reason you would say that it's bad is if the entire game was fucking quick time events.
But I mean, then it's like Azura's Wrath, which is like all quick time events. And that was, from what I heard, that was a pretty fun game.
Yeah, I heard that game was bananas just because of the story. It was more like an interactive anime, I guess you could say.
I'd do that.
Which I'd say not really worth the $60, but you can get it for super dirt cheap. But then you have to worry about the true ending DLC, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
So I guess that wraps it up for today. All right. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for watching. Why do I keep saying that? For listening to this episode of Random Respawn. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Random Respawn. Like us, and then we'll try and keep you updated with any interesting news that goes on throughout the week of the video game industry. And then you can also find us on youtube.com/We Are Random Respawn to see videos of us playing games and sucking at them. I'm very behind on trying to upload more Portal 2 videos of us being silly. I've had way too much work to do this past couple weeks, and hopefully, it seems like my schedule will be clearing up. So hopefully, I'll get around to that. Josh, you said you're going to be uploading Mega Man 9 stuff.
Yes, I am.
And 3D Dot Game Heroes as well.
Yes, I will.
All right, so look for those on the channel. So with that, I am Marshall Behringer,
and I'm Joshua Chagani,
and we are signing off. Take care. Have a great night.